And then we come to the group of shift solutions. One of the most commonly known shift solution is car sharing, which has a bit of a history. So it was introduced by the mid of 2000, mainly in Europe and in North America, and it's growing since then. Here you can see in the graphs on the left hand side the number of members, how the number of car sharing members have increased, and on the right graph the number of vehicles which are in place for car sharing usage. And the breakthrough innovation was why it really exploded from 2010 onwards, a concept which is called free-floating car sharing services. By free-floating means that you can pick up a car which you locate by an app and leave it then anywhere in a designated area within the city. The opposite concept is station-based, which works like a car rental service. But with the free-floating service, car sharing has introduced much more flexibility, especially for people living in the city. And the consequences of car sharing, or the impacts, is clear. With one single vehicle, you can transport much more users when compared to a private vehicle. I give also a short impression of the car sharing solution.
DriveNow is the car sharing service that lets you find it, drive it, and drop it across northeast London. Find the nearest on-demand BMW or Mini in your area and unlock it using the app. Once inside, there's no need to worry about keys. Just use your PIN to start your rental and only pay for the minutes you use. DriveNow gives you the freedom to use a car without any of the hassle of ownership. So if you're meeting friends in the city, heading out for dinner, or taking a longer trip, DriveNow makes it easy. Best of all, you can drop it in any resident bay or pay and display parking for free. And you don't have to worry about fuel, tax or insurance because they're all included in the cost. Sign up today and make getting round London that little bit easier. Find it, drive it and drop it with DriveNow.
So the video was showing the BMW solution of car sharing, which is called DriveNow. They merged now together with the Mercedes car sharing solution. And they really have a good market share, especially in the European market. There are other providers in other parts of the world. So it's a concept which is rising. It has definite impacts on environmental impacts. But also here the question is, what are the benefits, what are the shortcomings of vehicle sharing? Now taking the example of car sharing. The next shift solution is a real more funny solution which is employed in Germany on the countryside. It's called Hitchbench. And the idea is, especially in rural countries or rural areas in the world, people usually in villages, they know each other. And especially elderly people, they don't often have a car or are not allowed to use a car. And they sit on a bench here. They have a traditional post where they want to go. And then the hope is that somebody stops and give the people a lift to where they want to go. So it's also called hitchhiking version 2.0. And I just want to give you a short impression of this rather unusual mobility solution.
fahren? Ja, das wäre. Selbstverständlich hole ich Sie gerne mit. Das wäre wunderbar.
This might be a solution for villages, people living in rural areas. Question also is here, what are the benefits, what are the shortcomings of this rather funny shift solution? Then we have a large number of providers in so-called demand responsive transport services, which are ride-sharing solutions, though the most popular is Uber. And Uber is just one provider of demand responsive transport services. You can see here in the left graph, so the user in the ride-sharing market, which means on-demand taxi services, is rising since 2016, and there's a projection till 2022. Also, the revenue in the ride-sharing market is increasing, so this is a business model which is growing at the moment and has interesting opportunities regarding sustainable mobility solutions. I also give you a short glimpse on that.
Calling for taxis was always an ordeal. So people would wait an hour and the taxi would never show up. It's a huge alternative to taxis and public transportation. Now you just see everybody looking down into the palms of their hands, tracking when their car arrives. Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
The growth has come very quickly because there was clearly a hole in our transportation ecosystem, and services like Uber are helping to fill that. It works everywhere.
Uber is uniquely global. One of the biggest challenges is the fact that the audience is so diverse. We have to create an app experience that's going to suit the tech-savvy person in San Francisco and support a driver in India who maybe hasn't completed school. We have to try and create a universal language.
If you have no idea what's going on, this thing is beeping at you, and then you miss the first request and you don't know what just happened.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, have a wonderful rest of the day. A female taxi driver rolled up and stuck her fist out the window and yelled out, "You're not a taxi driver."
The taxi industry wants to suggest that this is a zero-sum game, that we have a taxi market and now it's going to be distributed between taxi and new entrants like Uber. That's not what this is about at all. We want to grow the pie. We are putting 2 or 3 people in a car, essentially carpooling through technology.
Yeah. So what are you working on? We're now in a world in which peer-to-peer, on-demand ability to request a ride is pretty ubiquitous. The goal is, as ride-sharing continues to grow, it's going to inevitably take vehicles off the road. The hope is that we'll see less congested cities. Individuals don't want the hassle of owning a car, maintaining a car, buying insurance for the car, parking the car, for it to sit idle 96% of the time.
So it's a very busy day today.
We already have about 10% of Uber users here in the US who are under 30. Say they either have gotten rid of a car or didn't buy one that they were planning to. So that's big change. The city of Chicago was the first city in the world that I'm aware of that is lessening the number of parking spots because they envision that people will be getting there, whether it's through Uber or other services like it. I think that about 16% of our city land around the world is estimated to be parking. Think about that. Can cities reclaim a little bit of their land, perhaps? Can we make our cities more livable? I think all that's possible.
this is about ride-sharing solutions or demand-responsive transport services. So there are two different terms designating the same, basically. A lot of providers in place. Also, please think of it. What are the benefits of this mobility solutions? What are shortcomings? And the last one is called in literature mobility integration services, or alternative term is MaaS, so mobility as a service. And there are also different levels of MaaS or mobility integration services. So the easiest level is what you have in Google Maps, that you can say, I want to go from here to point B, and they show you all the options you have, choosing a vehicle, how to get there, what are the times, what are the costs for it. Then there are more sophisticated solutions like Moovit or Smile in Vienna, where you can buy an app, also book all the tickets you need, and you can combine certain vehicle modes together. So you can take the train, and for the last mile you rent a bike or you rent a car, or you take mobility solution like Uber. Or you have then a full integrations like Wim or UbiGo, where you have a subscription, and by this subscription you can use everything which is placed in a certain city. This is especially implemented in North European countries. And level 4 could also be then an integration of policy, that you make public transport, for example, free of costs, and integrate them with such a solution, which from a user perspective is basically an app where you can book, you can plan, you can book, you can pay, and you can use everything with one app. Just to give you an impression of this kind of solution, also a short video.
The Wim app makes going places easier than ever. A monthly fee covers all your journeys with everything from buses, trains, taxis, brand new cars, bikes, and more. Wim takes away the hassle of traveling. It has it all: planning, routing, and tickets. You can create a monthly package to match your needs, or just pay as you go. So how do you travel with Wim? It's simple. Enter your destination, and Wim combines the best transport options to take you door to door. It tells you when it's time to go and shows your moves on a map. The more you use Wim, the better it gets. It remembers your favorite places, syncs with your calendar, and plans your journeys in advance. Still, Wim is as spontaneous as you are. Fancy a film at the last minute? Grab a cab on a whim. All you need to do is press one button. Once the taxi arrives, just show your ticket and enjoy the ride. It even rewards you for making green choices. Wim frees you to move whenever and wherever you want, but it also makes your city a better place to live, with less traffic jams and cleaner air.
There are a lot of different providers in place. Also here is the question, what are the benefits, what are the shortcomings of this shift solution? Okay,